Hello guys, welcome to
Allegedly.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Today we will be covering 5 of the most requested conspiracy theories.
Today we will be talking about the facts and the theories and then what we think happened. And we do have some scripts with some facts and details so that we don't get anything messed up, and we're giving you the best information about these theories as we possibly can.
But before we start, Myra's going to pull a card and tell us how our podcast is going to go.
I am going to pull a card and see how today is going to go, see how quick this is going to be, see how well it's going to go. Yeah, just a general card about today.
Censorship.
Now, you get to pick a card.
Oh, can I have this one?
Of course you can.
Oh, I've got
What have you got?
Mercury.
Mercury.
What's it mean?
Right. So we're all not listening. We're being sent messages and we're not listening. We need to listen to the hints. Stop ignoring the hints.
What hints?
I don't know, Thomas. Anyway, so
Princess Diana.
Princess Diana. There are multiple theories about her death, and literally everyone thinks like something different. Even if they think it was an actual accident, like they still think of something different.
Spoils.
We'll get into it. Her death was just like weird. The media said to us that Diana died in a car accident in France on August 31st, 1997, after she was allegedly not wearing her seatbelt and a brake failed, and that sent the driver crashing into a pillar in a tunnel. People think that he might have been drunk, and some people even thought she was pregnant. But on the autopsy, when they looked at her womb and the ovaries, there was no signs of pregnancy, and she had no HCG hormones.
I'm not really sure about that one. But you never know. Like, we weren't there, we didn't experience it. But I think if the driver was drunk and he did have a seatbelt on, so that's why he's not dead and everyone else is. But you never know. Can't go back in time. But there was also 14 CCTV cameras in the underpass. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Pont de l'Alma.
The Pont de l'Alma underpass. Though somehow nothing was ever recorded.
Mental.
That is weird. But there was the other car, isn't there?
There was another car.
There was another car.
There was another car. Supposedly.
Apparently, it was a white Fiat. And the guy they thought was driving it was part of the Secret Service. There was like 14 CCTV cameras in the Pont de l'Alma.
Pont de l'Alma.
Pont de l'Alma.
Pont de l'Alma.
Pont de l'Alma underpass. Though somehow nothing was actually recorded. It's a bit strange.
How does that work? How do 14 cameras fail?
I mean, I did read up on it. Apparently, there was like the French police don't operate it, and it's just done picture by picture. At that
But
time.
they still would have some sort of evidence.
But yeah, something had to be taken.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Mental.
But there was another car, wasn't there? You know, the white Fiat.
The white Fiat.
The white Fiat. The guy they thought who was driving it, well, apparently he's part of the Secret Service, you know.
Mad.
And the white marks on the side of the car coming from that white Fiat.
Really?
It's insane.
Oh yeah, his name's James Addison. James Addison, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Whoa.
That's our man. There are no reports of people seeing the vehicle enter the tunnel, though.
How does it go in? But how does it not go in but come out and be
Well,
part
I
of a
don't know,
crash?
but there are reports of people seeing it leave.
Yeah. How does it go in, not come out, and then be part of a crash? That doesn't make any sense.
Honestly, like, unless they like just left it in there from ages ago.
Ooh, yeah.
But then how do you just leave a random car in a tunnel?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But
Didn't they think he was part of the MI6?
yeah, people do think that, and they use that car to cause a crash with Diana to kill her off. She knew too much.
She did.
She did.
Mm.
But apparently the Addison, who apparently is part of MI6, was also a photojournalist.
Mhm.
But he's also apparently a member of MI6. Bit strange.
How are you a photojournalist and still part of that?
Maybe
and
that's
part
like
of
his
MI6?
alias. Maybe that's like his cover-up.
Right. Maybe.
So everyone just thinks, oh, he's a photojournalist, but he's actually like, you know.
part of the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, apparently, also, this white Fiat, it wasn't even roadworthy for, like, anything. It was 9 years old with 202,000 miles.
Wow.
And it wasn't maintained for 7 years.
That is insane.
So you're telling me
How does it even run?
No, so you're telling me this guy had his car for 9 years and gave up on it 2 years later. He didn't get it, like, checked or anything for 7 years. Unless it's the
Wait, so he ditched it a couple months later?
I think he did, yeah. Yeah, because he did apparently killed himself in that car.
Really?
I think it was that car. No, it
I
wasn't
didn't
that
hear
car.
about that.
No, it was a black Mercedes he killed himself in.
Right, so he got rid of the car, supposedly using the crash, and then was
Yeah.
found.
I mean, what? The police never found the car.
Right.
They went checking loads of different places. They never found it. It's gone.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I knew there was supposedly another guy. I knew him, but I didn't know much about it. Wait, so they thought he killed himself?
Yeah. So in May 2000, the police ruled his death as suicide when they found him when he found his charred remains in a black Mercedes Benz in a random forest. But suspiciously, he also had a wound in his temple.
How do you get a hole in your face from
A
a
fire.
car on fire?
It don't make sense.
No.
But apparently, after talking to his friends, they said he was going with personal problems.
They always do seem to have personal problems,
yeah,
don't they?
everyone has personal problems.
That's
And
true.
he often talks about his suicide by pouring petrol in his car and lighting a cigar. It's a pretty extravagant way to go,
I was
I'll
gonna
be
say,
honest.
kind of sounds like a vibe.
It does.
I'll be honest.
You know, like a little Cuban, bit of petrol, but then surely that stinks.
It must reek.
But then petrol, it's a 50-50
I love
for
the
the
smell
smell.
of
I like
petrol.
when when you're in the garage. I love petrol.
Give it a good sniff.
Honestly.
Yeah, I didn't even really know that much about it.
Yeah, like the reports say when the car was found, Adamson was in the driver's seat of his own car, and he was just, his head was detached.
What?
Yeah, so he didn't have his head on his body. But I don't get how a fire is burning
How
your
does a
head off.
fire get rid of a head?
I don't know, and his head was
That
laying
doesn't
in
make
between the
sense.
two front seats.
That makes no sense. There is no way that was an accident.
No, obviously, like he
What?
had to go, and he had a suspicious hole in his temple, as I said, and it was concluded that that hole was caused by intense heat, not a bullet.
How does intense heat create a hole, like a divot? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know, like unless he got like a blowtorch and just put it on his head.
Honestly, I'm
But
so
I think
confused.
that would just melt the skin.
I honestly
what about
didn't
bones?
like. I didn't even know there was that much to it. Like I didn't know he committed suicide.
No, a lot of people don't know that.
Oh my god! It also took her 2 hours to get to the hospital
That's
because
insane.
they said that if she was taken straight to hospital, there's a chance she could have like lived.
Yeah.
And where the ambulance was taking her, there was another hospital on the way that was like 45 minutes that could have like had all the facilities to
Keep her alive.
keep her alive, but they chose to go to the one that was 2 hours away, which evidently made her chances of survival like minimal because
Oh yeah.
you know
Of course.
you've just been in a car accident. There's no way.
That's so stupid.
Oh my god, yeah. She also got threatened by the royal family.
She did.
Yeah, because she put it in her voice diaries, didn't she? When they all came out, it
Yeah,
was
she also
like
wrote a letter
she did write a letter. To quote her,
on her letter.
if anything happens to me, be sure finger is the person who has done it is Prince Philip. Now that doesn't make any sense.
But that is a quote
It's
from her
not
letter.
grammatically correct, but it is a real quote, I promise.
That is from her letter herself. It's weird how much we don't know about this.
Honestly, there's
Like,
so much in
I
there.
think they put a lot of effort into covering this all up.
100%. There was
Like-
so much effort put into like hiding it.
Like, there's too many coincidences for it not
Oh,
to be
of course.
something.
There's too much that could have happened for it to have not
Yeah.
been something like that, you know?
Like it's insane. Like, what do you think happened?
I think she was set up. It just seems too sketch, and there was no cameras. The fact that the Royals have the best drivers known, and they want us to believe it was a freak accident. I don't know. I think it was them not liking her because she's not really up to their standard. But what they didn't know is like that she was our standard. She was the people's standard,
Oh yeah,
and like
she was the people's princess.
she was a loss. It was a huge loss for
Oh, yeah,
everyone that
100%.
day,
Everyone-
and them. Honestly, they lost
They lost
someone
some-
that was connected to the public.
Yeah.
They lost that connection.
They lost their like connection to just a common person.
Yeah, because she was more for the common. She was more
So
for
I swear
the.
that she was called the people's princess.
She is called
She's
the people's
always
princess
gonna be the
because she is the
people's
people's princess.
Like she was amazing. She was
Yeah.
an absolute star.
What do you think?
I think it was all a setup and all. Like she knew too much about everything.
Oh yeah, and because they weren't together, she was obviously gonna say some stuff
Yeah.
like Harry's doing now with his book.
Yeah, exactly. She was just.
They
gonna
were
tell.
worried about what was gonna happen.
Yeah, she knew literally and figuratively where the bodies were.
Exactly.
But
And that's never safe when you're
Honestly.
working with people with power.
like, do you trust the royals?
No. The royals aren't trustable anyway. Like, there's so much that we don't know that they can do and have done.
Yeah, they've done
And
some
you know
weird stuff.
Andrew, Prince Andrew.
Oh, I do know Andrew.
Yeah, he was
Dodgy
stripped
bloke.
of. Oh my god, yeah, he was stripped from all of his royal titles, and people are trying to get him to step down of like, what's it called? Oh, what is it called? The Wales. He's like
Is he Duke of Wales?
Duke of Wales. That's the
Duke
one.
of Wales.
Yeah, they're trying to get him to step down because they don't want him as their duke, because he was supposedly accused of sexual abuse.
He was.
And he was friends with Jeffrey
I was
Epstein.
gonna say that he was friends with Epstein.
He was.
Like they were
And
photographed
Epstein,
together.
what was Epstein's official like arrest made for?
Oh, I think it was literally just like, so he had one official. He's been arrested twice.
Right,
His first arrest was in 2008, soliciting like a child for prostitution.
right.
So like, it was
How
just,
long was he put away for?
only a couple months, and
It was 18, wasn't it?
yeah, but it was lenient, so he was allowed to go like to and from places. So he wasn't stuck in this prison.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
How are
they
you
gave him a deal.
arrested for minor prostitution and
Not
don't
minor
do
prostitution, because you know that just sounds like it's a little.
prostitution of a child?
Yeah, if you word it like that, that sounds what he was actually done for.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, yeah.
Oh my god, and didn't that millionaire, that billionaire even, Leon Black, he sent him like $50 million. Even though he said they weren't even close, I bet you he was doing the same thing that he was. I bet you any money.
I bet he was on that island.
I bet he was in the plane.
He's in the plane, the island, he's everywhere. But you know what, right? If you really think about it, if you're a billionaire, is 50 million that deep?
No.
So, if anything, he could have just felt charitable.
I guess, yeah, true.
But then,
But it just doesn't
of
add
all people
up.
to be charitable, why
A
someone who is
paedophile.
convicted of being a paedophile?
I don't understand.
It makes
And
no
Donald Trump
sense.
too.
Yeah, Donald Trump knew him. To quote him, he even said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." And it's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them on the younger side. Trump just exposed him in that whole
That's just,
quote.
it's
That is
just,
a public quote made by Trump.
he just criminalised himself and Epstein in that quote completely.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Like, he just openly said that he likes girls and minors. Like, what?
I mean, he didn't explicitly.
And he
say
had the
on his
plane,
younger
like I was
side.
saying, the plane, the Lolita Express, which
Oh, yeah.
literally means precociously seductive girl. Like, he didn't even try to hide it.
Yeah,
Like, it
it's
was
so
so
obvious,
obvious. He didn't
honestly.
even attempt to hide it from us. Don't know why it took so long for us to find out what he was doing, man.
People knew.
We knew.
Like, everyone knew what he was doing. but, like,
Everyone knew, it was just hard to
everyone, they had to
convict
cover
him.
it up because if he he killed himself.
Yeah.
Do you think he killed himself?
I-
There's too much evidence like proving he didn't.
Nah, like,
But why would they kill him?
there was like 2 guards.
Oh yeah, and they both fell asleep.
Yeah,
Apparently.
ironic.
And then all the cameras decided, oh, we're not going to work.
Honestly.
And one of them didn't break, but had unusable footage.
Nah, he for
Wait.
sure got killed. There is
Yeah.
no way both guards fell asleep. Even if it wasn't the prison guards, I'm not 100% sure if I think it's the prison guards who killed him. I think maybe it could have been inmates, because when you're in prison, and if you're found out to be like a paedophile or that you've assaulted a minor or anything like that, the other people that are in prison will genuinely like try and kill those people, and sometimes the guards will help. Like, they will leave their
Oh,
cell
yeah,
doors
always.
open and tell them what the crime is, and then they're done for. Because people that are there for like a good few years don't care for an extra 12. They would rather kill the
Yeah, if they're
paedophile that's
doing
going to be
life.
gone in 7 months and assaulting more minors.
But I'll tell you this though, his connections to the rich. What if they got him killed by inmates?
Because if he
think
said
about all
anything,
this cover up. If it's an inmate, well, that inmate's done extra years. No one was charged for it because he killed himself. The police wouldn't do that. The guards wouldn't do that. They would just go, well, here's your extra years. Like, you're already doing life. Like, you're not getting out anytime soon, you know? But yeah, it's weird.
yeah, 3 of the cameras broke, didn't they?
Yeah, one with unusable footage.
Yeah, you said.
I did.
Like, that's a huge deal in prison. A working camera can be the difference between like life and death.
Yeah, and it literally was.
Literally, because if a camera turns off, there's no dispute. Like, there's no
You
way of
can't
knowing
catch
what
You can't
happened.
catch a killer. You don't know what's happening.
Exactly. Someone could be killed, and there is no evidence.
But
There is
what?
nothing.
Jeffrey was put on suicide watch as well. He was meant to have an inmate in the same cell with him,
It wasn't supposed to be on his own.
but He was then taken off suicide watch, and then he died right after that.
Ironic.
And look,
And the coroner ruled his death as suicide by hanging, but there was like lacerations on his neck, but there was no blood. Confusing.
yeah, like no blood on the sheet.
Yeah, no blood on his sheets or anything like that. And his hyoid bone was fractured, which isn't normal when you're hanging someone. When someone hangs, the vertebrae in their neck separate, and that's what causes like blood and fluid to sit in the gap, and then it paralyzes them, and then they suffocate. So, yeah, no, the hyoid bone shouldn't break from hanging.
I think that is
from
normal
immense pressure.
Yeah, I think that's normal when you get strangled.
Yeah, that's what they said. Didn't his brother get the...
Yeah, his brother got a professional medical examiner on him. They examined the body and they ruled as strangulation.
Yeah, because the hyoid bone doesn't break from the jolt of hanging down, it breaks from the jolt of pressure.
But also, if you see a photo of the cell, Epstein had like a bunk bed.
There's nowhere to hang.
No, so what he apparently hung himself on was like, I think, a bottom step or something.
How did he hang himself on
So
a
he laid
bunk
on the
bed?
floor and choked himself out with
There's
that.
no way.
But that, because you'd pass out, your head would go back, it wouldn't stop, it wouldn't keep choking you.
No, you would breathe. There's no way that could happen.
It's so dumb.
And your body's instinct is to take a breath. You can't physically hold your breath.
Yeah, you'd need to be like
You would need to
unable
be
to move.
unable to move, unable
hanging.
to, like, you literally, there's no way your body won't force you to take a breath.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't want to kill itself. You want to kill yourself, your body doesn't.
Exactly.
There is no way you can sit there and strangle yourself and your body not make you take a breath.
It's so dumb.
It's just mad. He only had 18 months. He wouldn't have even been there for that long.
Yeah, but I mean...
And it's mad how the difference between the professional opinion and the prisoner's coroner opinion.
Yeah.
Because...
But it's
let's be honest. The prison coroner could have easily, like, swayed to make the prison look okay still.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't have to lie. Like, why would he?
No, it's weird.
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 Speaking of murder...
Oh.
JFK was shot on November the 22nd, 1963, by Harvey Lee Oswald. Wasn't he?
I mean, not necessarily, is it?
No. What do you mean? Because, he did die. He was shot.
Oh, yeah, obviously, he was shot. Like, there's video footage of him getting shot. It's everywhere. But, like, there's no way it was just one shooter, you know?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember hearing people say, like, the investigation is flawed. But I never knew, like, I never looked into it. So I just knew that he was shot and dead, but I didn't know.
Oh, basically, right. So it was like the HSCA, sorry. They concluded there was at least 4 shots fired from 2 different gunmen at the president.
Oh.
And if you really think about it, apparently Lee Harvey Oswald was using like a bolt-action Carcano rifle, which means he'd have to separately load it. There's no way you could have got 4 shots off
in
that space of time. It's weird, you know?
I mean, that wouldn't make sense. Like, the bullet they found doesn't match physics, does it? Like, we'll put a picture up for you guys. The bullet that went through him is barely even damaged. And I'll put another picture for you for, basically, there's 4 bullets gone through a cadaver's wrist, which is a dead person if you didn't know. A cadaver is someone who's passed away. And it's just they shot some bullets through a cadaver's wrist.
Using the same bullet.
Using the same type of bullet and the same type of gun, all that sort of stuff. And the bullets literally explode. They look so damaged. And the one they used to shoot Kennedy, it doesn't look damaged at all. There's no anything on it.
But
it really
not
doesn't
only
make sense.
Like, it literally just doesn't make sense. The bullet went through, I think it's Kennedy's...
His back.
It's Kennedy's back.
Out his neck.
And then through...
and then
Connolly.
through...
I think it was right man Connolly. I think.
Through his back, shattering his 5th rib.
Yeah.
And then it went out his chest and through his wrist, breaking the bone. And then it buried itself into Connolly's thigh.
Which is weird.
So how does it go through all of those body parts and all that bone and all of that...
And come out unscathed.
Exactly, when the one only went through the one wrist bone and was destroyed.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, that's weird. But that's it. Like, it must have just been more than one bullet. You know?
Why was he killed? Something to do with, like, war, right?
Well, there's a few reasons. So,
Okay.
he wasn't really all that about the Vietnam War. He didn't want to go into a full-blown war with Vietnam. You know? Like, he knew it would be a loss. But because of the Cold War at the time, if he didn't go, he'd seem like a coward. Like, oh, America, oh, they're not very
Yeah.
they're not very brave.
He didn't want to seem like a, excuse my language, but a
Yeah, so they had to look good against their competition.
yeah, obviously.
But they still lost.
Meant.
And the reason they went it was Vietnam is because they were scared that because Vietnam was becoming a communist state,
Yeah.
which, well, capitalist communist, so Cold War.
Yeah.
It's not looking
Didn't they
good.
also think that the Rockefellers, who are worth billions of dollars, by the way,
Billions.
wanted control over like the whole West Orion.
Orion.
I'm
that's
not
how you
good
say
with
it.
names. One of those will be right. Orion gold mines. They wanted the Grasberg mine.
Yeah.
And as it was like one of the most rich gold mines located in Indonesia, but Kennedy had a close relationship with the president of Indonesia and planned a US-Indonesian summit, which could have left Indonesia being independent from West Iran. But that would also make it hard for the Rockefellers to free Port Sulphur to control the mines and such. So there's also the theory that he was killed because they wanted to take control of the mines that were expensive and they could make money off it and things like that.
Oh yeah, like you think about it, the Rockefellers, they're worth billions.
They could sway anyone to do anything.
Yeah, they can get.
I'd probably shoot someone for billions.
Yeah, like
You're sorted for the rest of your
think about it,
life.
they could pay anyone off to do that.
100%.
Like easy. Like they.
And if there was two of them and only one of them got caught,
Yeah.
what a sacrifice! What a worth it! If I
Honestly.
shot someone, if me and you had to be told, here's $1 billion each, go shoot this famous guy, and you got arrested and I didn't.
Not to get
Score.
myself convicted, but I
Win.
would easily do that. That's
Win,
money.
such a win.
But then you think about it, Harvey D. Oswald, he was killed.
Was he?
He was killed.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought he just went to prison.
So the CIA was like told to keep him safe, and they called, I think it was the deputy for like Texas,
oh yeah,
and that they ensured his safety. And then
Right.
a couple of days later, he was
mad. I'm not really sure what I think, but from what I can see, there's definitely more than one bullet. And who knows? It could have just been from people not liking him and telling to kill him because people go crazy and decide to kill people all the time. Who knows?
dead. But do you think the Rockefellers are greedy?
100%. They already have billions. Why do you need more?
Yeah, you've got billions. Why do you want these gold mines?
Honestly, I mean, we'll never really.
But
know.
then gold isn't. Cause think about it, money's
Gold isn't that important.
money's a
anymore.
number. No, it actually is.
Is it?
It's got value. Because if you think about it,
But gold money has gone down.
But gold is one thing that is always going to be
True.
valuable.
True.
Money's paper.
Yeah.
Paper and a number on a phone.
Because at one point we're going to run out of gold, and
Exactly.
then the gold we have is going to be what
So if
we
you think
have.
about what you got money, right? That's a piece of paper, and if you look on your phone, it's a number. That number goes up and down. But what gold? Gold, it's fine. It's always going to be there.
Yeah. Gold is gold.
Gold makes money.
We'll never really know.
That is, that's what Russia's doing. That's what Russia's doing. They're making a gold-backed currency.
Make it
It's
even
go-
more
It's
expensive.
going to be better than a dollar.
Mad.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. You know what my favourite theory to talk about?
what's your favourite theory?
As awful and terrible as it sounds, I love the discussion of like 9/11. And I know it's going to sound really horrible, and it was an awful thing, and so many people lost their lives, and it was terrifying, and it was horrid. But you want to know something crazy, Thomas?
What? What are you going to tell
I
me?
think it was planned.
No.
Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it really, really was just an awful act of terrorism, but I am almost positive that there is more to it.
Is there?
I think so, yeah.
Go on, what happened?
So, we were all told that the Al Qaeda terrorists had hijacked planes and flown them to the Twin Towers on September 1st, 2001, right? The two towers collapsed, many died, and thousands were lost in the
11th.
acts. Is it September 11th?
September the 11th.
Too many ones. There's too many ones. September 1st, 2001. The towers collapsed, many died, thousands were lost in the accident, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. So, the whole thing is incredibly sketchy. The towers fell from the bottom up. I think they were demolished because they fell inwards. Bombs used to demolish like large buildings with as little mess as possible, like controlled demolition. The planes going through it would have damaged the top of the buildings. So how did the bottom of the building get damaged, and then how did it cave in on itself? It literally doesn't make any sense. We were all told that the jet fuel being set on fire was the reason the metal support beams broke, But jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to make to melt steel down that much. There's no way that a plane going into the top of these massive buildings could cause it to cave inwards. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, like it's dumb. But like
My stepmum works for a demolition company, and I had a little conversation with her. In the UK, we don't use controlled explosives to demolish anymore. We have to use either by hand or heavy machinery. We can't use explosives. But she spoke to some of our colleagues, and I'm going to insert a quick video here about what she thinks. So,
Yes,
you work for a demolition company.
I do.
Can you tell me a bit about what your demolition company do and how it all works?
Okay, so I am the Director of Operations for KPH Deconstruction. So we basically will take a building, we'll either deconstruct it internally, or we'll demolish the building externally. We'll either do that by hand, or we might do it with machinery. But generally, most of the time, working in London, we'll do it by hand, piece by piece.
Okay, so do you know anything about the process of getting the approval for demolishing a building and things like that? How does
So
that
in
work?
this country, if you want to demolish a building, you need to approach the local authority, you need to ask their permission, and there's a document that you need to submit, which is basically a Section 80 demolition notice. You have to show to them how you're going to demolish the building, how you're going to take care and attention with all the people that are in the surrounding area, how you're going to monitor noise, how you're going to monitor dust. That's really, really important for obviously people's health, and making sure that they're not inhaling silica dust, which is really dangerous. And you need to kind of submit all this information to them, and you need to basically ask their permission. You need to demonstrate that you have written to all the neighbours to tell them that this is going to be happening, and that there's been no objections. Once you've done that, you send the notice in, and basically for most councils it will be, you put the notice in, they'll either approve it, or they'll say, if you don't hear back from us and it's really weird, within 6 weeks and a day, you can start your demolition.
Right.
So it's one or other, whichever one comes first, basically, and that's how it works.
Do you know anything about explosive demolition? Because I know we don't do it in this country.
Well, we don't as much. I mean, we do it in some circumstances in this country, but we no longer do it in populated kind of built up kind of environments, particularly in London. I mean, I can't remember the last time we would have done that. It happens a bit more up north. So Scotland's still taking tower blocks down this way, and they would have done some of that fairly recently. But I know about it. Have I been involved in it? No. So I've not personally overseen taking down a building with explosives, but I do understand a little bit about it.
Okay, so I know that there was the chimneys in Dartford.
Yep.
That they demolished that with explosives.
They did, yeah.
And it fell very particularly. How did they what's the process to mapping out these explosives and making sure that it falls in the right way?
Yeah, so essentially it's a long process. So although the fact that you're going to demolish a building and press a button and it's down in about 10 seconds, the actual planning probably takes around 6 months. So that involves structural engineers, reviewing all of the build, what was the as-built drawings, how did it get built originally, what was used to build it originally, and then based on that information, the structural engineers will work out where they place the explosives, as you said, so that the building falls exactly how they want it to fall. They'll place it on, and obviously then off the back of that, they then work out how far their exclusion zones need to be, and then obviously what they need to do in terms of making people in the surrounding area aware and what that's going to look like. So an exclusion zone, you get them all through demolition. So particularly for this, it would be how do we think the building's going to fall? How much debris are we going to have? How far is that debris going to go out? And then how far is to an acceptable level is that dust going to spread? Yeah. So so once they've figured that out, then they'll put an exclusion zone around the area. So like
So
with the
people
chimney
don't-
one that you're talking about, you was allowed to go and watch it, but they would have told you at what.
Yeah,
at
we
what,
had to watch it from a couple streets back.
Exactly, because they will be like, we don't want you too close to be inhaling this dust, because, you know, and it's similar if you work on a site. So for example, when we work on a site and we take brick apart by hand, because we demolish a lot of things by hand, and I don't mean hands, we've got tools, but I mean we're not using a machine or an excavator. Our guys have to wear fully face-fitted masks, so that they're completely protected from the dust that they're going to inhale when they start taking that brick down. So our guys have got the right PPE on to protect them, but obviously when you've got members of the public,
Yeah,
you
not
need
everyone
to
can
they
have that
need to
mask,
create
yeah.
that exclusion zone, and that's what they're doing. Obviously it's their duty to protect the members of the public.
So, what kind of, how would you place the explosives? Do you have any knowledge on like the process of actually doing the demolition?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of ways. They will just determine where they need to go. Sometimes they can just be placed within the building, but other times, because of the way that it's structured, I know that they'll maybe dig boreholes into the concrete, because you'll have like a concrete frame, or you'll have a frame, and depending on what that is, particularly if it is concrete, then they will bore hole down into the frame, and then they'll drop essentially the explosives into that, and that's what then allows you to bring the strongest part of the structure down, because the frame of the building is
what
what
keeps
is
it up.
Exactly that. So that's the bit they need to kind of focus on.
Because once
where
that's
that
gone,
is.
it can just.
Implode, yeah, on
Okay.
itself.
So, have you got any thoughts on like 9/11 and because the main theory, if you're not aware, is obviously that the planes went in. People believe the planes went in. It was obvious the planes went in. We saw it.
Yeah, definitely
But
they went
people
in.
believe that it was planned and that the actual building coming down was controlled demolition, because the heat from the jet fuel wouldn't have melted down the steel that was inside the concrete enough for it to collapse at the bottom.
Okay.
So with your years of experience in being in the demolition industry, like, what would your opinion be on the fact that people think it was demolished from the bottom up?
I mean, that's a lot of work for somebody. I just told you it takes 6 months to plan, and you're talking about a structure that is a superstructure. So that might take a year to plan, you know, because that's a huge building. Somebody would have had to go in and do exactly what I've just said to you to do. So that would have been picked up, right? That you can't just go in and start doing investigations or start taking that into a building. You wouldn't be able to go and demolish that building whilst the plane had just hit, like from a control perspective. You would have had to have all that set up in advance. So the reality of someone being able to do that unchecked, unseen, for me, I don't understand that. I mean, you've basically got a weight hitting a building. The stress of that weight, for me, is enough to be able to bring that building down. That's my fault. And I just don't think also, you'll know this if you've done your research into this, the human cost of what happened was not on the day. It's still happening now. The amount of people that have died since 9/11 due to inhaling silica dust, from asbestosis, the cancers and everything like that, is off the scale. So to think that somebody would do that, and they would know that, we all know that in the industry, everybody knows that how dangerous silica dust is. It's my personal opinion, but
Yeah, no,
I
100%. It's
can't
just-
see it.
There's a lot of money that people earn a lot of money from it, as much as a lot was lost, and obviously a lot of people's lives were lost, and the building cost a lot of money anyway, and the redoing everything was lost. A lot of people earn a lot of money from that building collapsing. And that's one of the main theories that Bush and I'm not sure if it's Cheney or Caney, I never knew how to say it properly, but
It's Cheney, yeah.
Cheney, one of the two, but they were supposedly involved in kind of setting it up discreetly and doing it in a way where people wouldn't realise it was done.
I mean, if you're saying it's coming from a government level, then I suppose it's like anything's possible, right?
Exactly,
Like,
that's why the theories are there.
So the theory's there.
And then also
But-
with Building 7 that came down as
Yeah.
well, and people look at that and they go, because that is controlled demolition, And then you look at that, and then you look at the videos of 9/11 coming down, and it's like the spitting image of each other. And then if you brought up, I'll put some videos up now.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
The chief of the department yell, "The tower has come down."
Set. All floors clear. Ground's clear. 3, 2, 1. Fire. Nice job, team.
But as you can see, controlled demolition and 9/11 falling look almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Whereas the video of just a building falling, it tilts, it's not as structured, it doesn't come down as quickly and as easily,
Yeah.
which is what people have obviously picked up on.
Yeah.
And obviously the human loss was immense, and there was so many people that lost their lives, and it was a horrible thing. But yeah, a lot of people made money from it, and a lot of things, like all the donations people make, and all of the rebuilding stuff, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Pentagon with the missile.
Yeah.
Well, they think people say it's a plane,
Mhm.
but there was no debris or anything. And there was a quote from one of the firefighters saying, "There's been a large human loss today. Let's just pull it." This is one of the higher ups talking to a firefighter apparently.
Yeah.
Saying that they would
I mean,
pull
I
it.
can understand why someone might need to take a building down because it's structurally unsafe, you know, and could cause more damage. You know, and obviously there was, you know, the controlled demolition, you know, afterwards. Yeah, I probably, for me, I would still be skeptical. I would still think that with what you're talking about and the amount of people that would need to be involved in that, I don't know, for it never to have, you know, real kind of proof, I would struggle with it. But nothing's without, you know, outside the realms of possibility, right?
Especially when the government's involved.
Yeah, and you know, there's an argument to say that he wanted the war, you know,
Yeah,
and
he
that
wanted
gave him
that
the perfect
excuse.
excuse to have it.
Yeah, that's
so there's
another-
always been that argument,
Yeah.
and there's an element of that I believe about him, that he used it to get what he wanted, which is that he wanted to be like his dad, and he wanted to have his war like his dad had his war.
Yeah, definitely.
So I believe that.
It's just one of those
Yeah.
things you can never be really sure because there's no concrete evidence.
No.
But there's all these theories, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, that is possible.
Yeah.
But it'd be difficult.
It's just the human life element to me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't understand. That's the bit why I'm not sure, because I don't, you know, somebody who is responsible for people and people's welfare, like he is President of the United States, to think that he would do that knowing it's not just about what happened on the day, however many thousand people lost their lives, it's about the amount of people, the subsequent stretch that they now have on their health care and everything like that, because the amount of people in New York that then, you know, basically, you know,
That have
inhaled all
died
this stuff
and had these health
and
issues
died
from
from
it.
these awful kind
Yeah,
of
I mean, it does
illnesses.
make sense, but then you've got to think about all the other times the government have killed a mass amount of people
Yeah.
for their benefit, so there's like evidence of that happening, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure why.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difficult thing because there's so much proof of it being an accident, and then there's also so much proof of it being
yeah.
an actual thing, so I guess it's just what you choose to believe. huh?
Exactly that. So,
Well, thank you very much,
You're welcome.
and I'm sure everyone will enjoy the professional opinion.
Thank you.
The Pentagon was also supposedly attacked, but there was
Was it?
no debris. Well, there was no debris.
Well, that makes no fucking sense.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, like, one of the flights...
How was it attacked and
One
there
of
was
the
no
flights
debris?
hijacked was, like, I don't know, apparently flown
But
into a building.
how was there no debris? How
Because it
did a
probably
plane
wasn't
go
a
into a
plane.
building? That's a thought. Because how can a plane go into a building and then leave nothing behind? What happened?
I don't know.
You saw how much debris came from the 9/11 plane attack.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's weird. But
Mad.
like, do you know where it also hit? It hit like where like the janitors and stuff are.
Stuff.
Instead of hitting where like all the important people are, right? Apparently,
It makes no sense.
No. So hear me out, right? Apparently, this plane it flew over instead of dropping onto like where all like these big important people are. It just went. No, we got to do a U-turn. We missed the janitors. Kill them. Get them gone. That's the story.
I don't understand. But Building 7 was a 47.
Hold on. About 9/11 though, there was 85 hidden cameras,
Was that?
and nothing was caught on camera.
Mad.
How's that happen?
Because it was disabled. Because it was controlled demolition. I'm telling you this.
Not in 9/11. Not in the Pentagon. Pentagon.
Not
was
the
like missile.
Pentagon. Not the Pentagon.
Yeah, I want controlled demolition.
That wasn't. I think that was.
You're a bit of a silly sausage for that.
Yeah, I am a bit of a sausage, but it's fine. Yeah, Building 7. It was a 47-story steel framed building, and it was owned by Larry Silverstein. Before he got the lease, weeks before 9/11, which is the Twin Towers coming down, obviously. It's obviously controlled demolition. On the video of the official story, the building falls because of a furnishing fire, according to them. But there's no way. There's absolutely no way that a fire causes that kind of destruction.
Yeah, like,
it would burn the building.
yeah, the building would burn, but like the foundations.
There is no
like,
way it would crumble.
Same with like the jet fuel melting. Like the
Yeah,
support
it
beams.
doesn't work. How does that work?
wouldn't-
It's impossible.
Like if I put a lighter to something,
If I put a lighter to this microphone, it wouldn't explode.
exactly like
It would
wouldn't
melt,
just- it'd
but it
probably
wouldn't
burn
explode.
it and probably break it, but like it wouldn't just.
It wouldn't explode. How does it, guys? I think we just cracked the case. 9/11 wasn't real.
That's sort of what we've been trying to prove this whole time. I think we've given enough
Yeah.
evidence as to why it's not real.
So, Larry had an interview about his memory of the day, and he said that the fire commander came to him that afternoon and said that they were struggling to cope with the fires. So he said that there's been such a tragic loss of life today, let's just pull it. And then they agreed to pull it shortly after, and they watched the building come down. There were 3 commanders, and the first has never come forward and said that he had that conversation. And you don't just pull buildings for fire departments. It takes weeks to put charges in place. Like, you have to apply
Yeah, you have to apply.
and get approval to pull a building of that size
and
down.
you need like demolition teams and stuff.
Yeah, no, you can't do
Like,
it with a
they
fire
have to put
company.
all these bombs in the right places. They have to go
Yeah.
in the building. The building has to be evacuated and cleared.
They have to make sure that it's all in the right places and it's going to have minimal amounts
So
of
what do you
debris.
think what they done? Yeah, is this Silverstein fella?
Mm.
He's got these like explosives in the building, set a fire so like the building has to be evacuated, and then he's blown it up.
That makes sense.
That
That does
does.
actually make sense.
Like the fire's just
'Cause-
cover up.
Like, Bush and Cheney were running the White House, and everyone asked them, "What's your thoughts on it?" Like, you had to have an inquiry on it. And like, why were they involved?
Because that was like.
I
Bush
know
was
the president, but
I think Cheney was like.
the commander or whatever.
I think he was like national defense or something.
Oh.
I
Well,
think.
I understand that obviously if it's a terrorist attack, they're going to need
Yeah.
those people, but it doesn't. Nothing adds up for it to be a terrorist attack. Like, there's no way it
I think.
works like that.
I'll tell you what I think. Al Qaeda, like they knew about it. They probably told them to do it. Probably paid them off.
I think Al Qaeda. I think they did have planes going. We'll get to
They
this.
had planes.
We'll get to this. So there's like 2 main theories, right?
Yeah, like fair enough. Like one of the theories is like it was suspected insider trading. So like people, there was like extreme amount of like stocks placed on United and America Airlines, which are like the 2 planes companies that got hijacked.
Yeah, that was like days before 9/11 happened.
Yeah, this was
wasn't
like
it?
just days before.
I know a lot about 9/11, guys. Don't judge me. I find it really interesting.
But like no, like they all knew about it.
Yeah, everyone knew it was going to happen.
So like, that probably leads to like, well, how did they know it was going to happen? Did they pay for these terrorists to do this? You know, it's weird. But then that made people money.
It did make people a lot of money. The other theory is that Bush did it. The common phrase associated with 9/11 and the whole conspiracy theory is Bush did it. But why would he? Well, he wanted to go to war with Afghanistan for oil, and he needed a reason to. to make it so that it wasn't targeted and it wasn't a war crime, and like they hadn't done anything to us, so why should we go to war with them? And people would support it if they felt like they had a reason to. So after 9/11, he launched that war and invaded Afghanistan, and it gave him a reason to. That's the other theory.
That makes sense.
I prefer that theory. I think that he hired these these Al Qaeda people to pose as terrorists, kind of.
Yeah.
And paid them a lot of money.
Oh,
Not that
yeah.
it would really matter because they died. So I don't know why.
Yeah, I think he paid like the Al Qaeda like themselves the money.
Yeah, like the whole group
Because then
money.
it fund, but then that'd be stupid.
Because then it funds the people he's fighting. I don't understand what they
'cause it
did.
gives them money to buy
But-
guns.
I think the planes were like they did go into the building.
Oh yeah, like
There
you see
were
them going.
planes. Like there was
there's
destruction.
videos
There is
of
planes.
going in them.
Yeah, no, the planes went into the building, but I think the reason it came down is because of controlled demolition.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because like, how is that building going to cave in on itself from just the top? The bottom wouldn't break from the top.
Yeah, like that's just impossible. Like it's stupid. You know.
I know. Like I don't know. It's just, I think it was all pretty much a hoax just to get like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was just like for money. Money
100%,
and war.
because it was controlled demolition. There's no doubt about that. If you look at a video of controlled demolition, if you go up on YouTube, pull up the 9/11 video.
We'll pull one up.
We'll pull one up for you now.
We'll pull up
Okay,
the
so
Building
this
7
is
demolition.
this is 9/11. Yeah. And then next to it is Building 7. And then there's another video that I'm going to put up of just a random building being demolished with controlled demolition.
You just see it.
All three of those buildings fell in exactly the same way. Like they
And
all
then
fell
you
in
just,
exactly the same way.
Because what, when you do controlled demolition as well, like they fall in free fall speed,
Yeah.
which is like the bottom's gone. There's no resistance. It could just fall, and it'll fall on itself and like turn to rubble.
Yeah.
That
it
is what they do.
turns to dust. There's no
Not really
bricks.
dust.
It is. It's more of a dusty mist.
No, dust is just when it comes down. I swear.
Yeah, when it comes down or the mist comes down, then it comes into like a bit of a crumble. So it's really easy to pick up and like move.
I thought it would be like big like rocks of stuff.
No, they do it in a way so it goes up the support beam so it crumbles down.
But then why was there so much debris for 9/11?
Because the top bit was all shattered first, so all that debris
Oh yeah.
comes down first.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think the planes were just public, like for the camera.
Yeah, 100%. Planes had to be for the camera.
Like there's no, I can't, there's no deciphering it.
What-
But
what
anyways.
happened?
What is your favourite theory at the moment? Because as horrible as it is to say, mine has to be 9/11.
Really, I can't lie. Not a lot of people know this one. Have you heard of the CIA selling crack cocaine?
I have heard a little bit, but not enough to be able to talk about it. So you can take the lead on this one.
All right, so back in like the 1980s,
Yeah.
a bunch of writers had like allegedly said that the CIA were involved in cocaine smuggling for, I don't know how you say this one, Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan.
What she said.
Contras.
Yeah, the Contras cocaine trafficking operation.
Nicaraguan. He can't speak English.
It's not an English country, is it?
Oh my god, do you know what that reminded me of?
What?
Sorry, side rant.
Gone on a little tangent there.
Honestly, so the fact that he didn't know how to say that word has just sparked a memory in my brain. So this morning, I was on the bus on my way to college. It was a vibe. Some guy just got on the bus and started talking nonsense to everyone. And the bus driver let him on. And it was really uncomfortable because he started talking to me. And I was like,
What was he saying?
I don't know, he wasn't speaking in English.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know, sir. I have no idea what you're on about. And then he just got really loud. And I was like, anyways, this is my stop. It wasn't my stop. I waited for the next bus. But
You know,
it is what it is.
yeah, it's pretty scary.
Some people struggle with words. I'm one of those people.
I'm one of those people.
Of course. Anyways, as you were saying, sorry,
Yeah,
side rant
before I just got
over. Side rant
interrupted,
over.
you know. So, like, in 1981, former President Ronald Reagan gave the CIA $19 million to help the Contras.
That is so much money. I
Like-
don't think anyone understands how much money that is. Unless you have $19 million.
$90 million is
That
a
is
lot
so
of
much money. I could live and never work ever again with $19 million. Do you know how lucky we'd be?
Like, $1 million is good.
A million's insane. 19 million? What? That is more than a lottery could ever be.
Honestly.
Yeah, so, in case you don't know, I do know a little bit about the Contras because, you know, I'm a theorist. I like to
You like your
research stuff.
conspiracies?
I like
Oh,
it.
same.
It's very fun. They are a united opposite of 14 political parties organised in the National Opposition Union with the support of the United States National Endowment for Democracy. Basically, they are the opposite of America.
I think they're a communist group.
Yeah, they're like a communist
Which is
group. They're
quite
not
weird.
democratic. Democratic.
But do you know what's weird? It's the 1980s, right? I swear the Cold War was still going on.
Definitely.
So why
definitely.
are they funding communists, even though they just went to war with Vietnam? A communist
Because
country?
the US aren't
They're weird.
normal.
No, I'm not a fan of them.
Here, I'm going to pay the people I'm fighting. That makes
Yeah.
so much sense.
I mean, it's only 19 million. You think about it, they've got loads more.
Yeah, they have got a lot more in their oil and gold stocks and all that.
Just all that money.
all their money.
So anyway, so basically, Reagan and the CIA turned a blind eye to the Contras smuggling drugs into the US.
That makes no sense. Why would you let Why would you let people
Because I think
smuggle
back then,
drugs?
cocaine was like like an upper class people drug.
Yeah, like they didn't really know as much the effects of it,
Yeah.
I guess, because it
So,
wasn't
like-
really looked into.
If you think about it, if they're arresting all these rich people doing cocaine,
Yeah.
it's not a good thing for like all these. Oh, we're rich. Oh, wait, we're arrested. You know?
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
It's a bad image for them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So it's theorized that they paid the US paid them to smuggle it in.
Right. So yeah, that makes no sense. But we just,
But like I don't know.
the
But
US
they
is
didn't
weird.
outwardly like villainize the crack cocaine epidemic
Why not?
because they secretly created it. They accidentally created this
Mad.
epidemic. Like, do you know how mad that
The
is?
US is tapped.
Honestly, by letting them bring this cocaine in, the epidemic's just up and up and up. But like, the DA completely ignored cocaine for years, but in the early 1980s, it would change.
Yeah, didn't Miami crack down on like drug laws? Because that was where like most of the nation's cocaine was being used, right? So like they had the biggest problem with cocaine
Yeah, they
users
had, like, a
and
massive
like
problem.
people that took cocaine. So they got really hard like on their laws of it. And then I think
Yeah, that was
didn't
like,
other people follow in a few years like follow suit with the laws about it, right?
yeah, I think so. But a story about that. So there was like,
Sorry.
oh, I can't remember when it was, but there was like this Spanish family, like living in some like suburb, I think in Miami, and like this ice cream truck's like gone past a little kid, Spanish child. He's ran to get an ice cream, come back in, a SWAT team busts his door down, like ransacked the whole house,
What? Why?
and they found a little bag, and in that bag was a few little crack rocks, but only a few. So if you think about it, they're kicking down doors just for like a little bit of crack.
Mad.
That's how tight they were on it.
Well, if only they were like that here in the UK.
Honestly.
Wouldn't see as many cokeheads out on the streets harassing you.
Yeah, oh man, they're jobs.
They definitely are.
But like, they did, at one point, cocaine was like, there was so much cocaine in the United States that the prices just dropped. Like, it wasn't just a elite drug. No,
Like, it was just everyone could get
everyone was
cocaine.
doing coke. Like, it was
Oh,
mad.
what a world.
And
I
like,
can't
they had to drop the
imagine.
price to keep their profits.
Yeah, because everyone was getting hold of it. So
Yeah,
there was no.
like, if everyone's got it, like,
no one's
there's no
gonna.
point
If,
selling-
if people are selling it for less than you,
like, if
no
it was-
one's gonna come
like,
to
if I'm
you.
selling a bag of sweets for £5 and someone's selling it for £1, like, I'm not making money. No
You're
one's
not
going to come to me.
No, yeah, no, it's
Like,
not
it's so
worth it.
dumb. But then, that's when crack came about.
What's the difference between cocaine and crack cocaine?
Well,
I thought it was the same thing.
cocaine and crack cocaine. So there's cocaine in crack, but what they do is they boil some water
Uh-huh.
and they put in a bit of cocaine and a bit
Right.
of baking powder. And then what that does,
Baking powder?
Baking powder. And what that does, it creates like little like rocks.
Ah.
So you use less cocaine
Right.
for more drugs, basically. So you can
Right.
sell more. If that
I'm
makes
about to
sense.
go make myself some crack cocaine. I'm joking, guys.
So
Don't do
incriminate
drugs.
yourself.
I'm joking, guys. Don't do drugs.
But yeah, that is the difference. And crack's more addictive because it's.
I'm sure it is. It's a lot stronger, though.
Yes, you get such an intense high for a short time.
Oh, that's like balloons, isn't it? There's a massive epidemic nowadays of
everyone's on
people doing
now, it's
balloons.
so dumb.
It's a really
It kills
short
your brain.
high and it kills your brain and it's not worth it.
No, 100%.
But some people are addicted
don't
to
touch
it.
drugs. They're bad
Yeah,
for you.
they're not good for you. Evidently.
Yeah, like it had like all the people buying crack were just constantly coming back,
Oh, God.
and it made these drug dealers so much money. Like crack was basically almost available in like every major city in the US
Yeah.
by 1985.
That's insane.
Yeah, but also there was one guy, Rick Ross. He started basically by selling just crack. So what they used to do was they'd sell the drug dealers cocaine, and then they'd make the crack.
Right.
But instead, this guy, Rick Ross, he made crack cocaine and would sell that in large quantities to drug dealers.
Oh, so he sold the drugs to the drug
And
dealers.
I think he called it. Oh, he gave it a name. I think it was like Ready Brick or something.
Ready Brick. That's a children.
No,
That
not
is a-
Ready Brick. Ready Brick.
Ready Brick. I was gonna say
think it's
Ready
something like
Brick is a child's breakfast. That is like oats and milk
that's-
that you
that's
warm up
porridge.
in a microwave. No, it's not porridge. It is milk and oats.
What is porridge?
No,
Please tell me what porridge is.
No.
How do you make porridge?
it's
How do you
soft
make
oats.
porridge?
It's no.
How do you make porridge?
Anyway, so there was video footage of like gang violence and like antics that flooded the news, which led to like upper class Americans beginning to panic because cocaine was available to everyone. Everyone was addicted. It was no longer this upper class thing. So if you wanted cocaine, you were no longer upper class because everyone had it.
But I mean, not really, because cocaine went back to being a higher class thing.
Oh,
for a bit
okay. I
'cause of
thought it
crack.
stayed. Oh yes, because the crack was
Well,
what
yeah.
the smaller. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause that's what like the less rich people would buy.
Which ended up making I don't know how to say his name. Reagan.
Reagan. Ronald Reagan.
Reagan administrations up the ante on the war on drugs that they have created. So basically, they created this war of drugs and then went back and decided, actually, kind of don't want you, kind of don't feel you.
No. They had the war of drugs that Nixon made.
Yeah.
'Cause he was the one before.
Right. Okay.
And then Reagan just was like, well, the drug problems just got worse.
Yeah.
Even though they are sort of the reason it got worse.
Yeah. And
But-
then they literally sent military police into the cities to like get rid of drug dealers and like druggies, which is insane. Like that's
Honestly,
so
that's mental.
insane. And like they brought in laws that added a 3-strike system. So third strike was life in prison. However, that led to like a skyrocket increase in like incarceration of black males. Because there was a lot of like gang violence and things like that, and at that time, obviously, that was associated with black men. Obviously, we know that isn't.
Because there was like loads of racial profiling.
Yeah,
back then
100% there
especially,
would have
yeah.
been.
It was like still coming out of racist America, I think. Like,
You have to remember, this was in the 1980s. America
Yeah.
was still very racist at this point.
In some states were more welcoming.
Some states were okay, but a lot of states had issues still. So there was a lot of racial
Yeah.
profiling about this crack cocaine, and
Oh, 100%.
I think this is where the stereotype of drug dealers being black guys came from.
Yeah, I think so.
Which we obviously know aren't true. We obviously, as normal human beings, we can recognise that this is
Yeah,
simply a
people-
stereotype.
People with functioning brains, we understand.
Yeah, but with people whose brains work, you know. But that was where it came from, and that was a lot of the problem.
Oh, yeah.
That black communities were being blamed for this epidemic when really it was the government that were doing it.
Oh yeah, like it's all because like the president and the CIA have just it's like, oh yeah, import drugs to our country.
Yeah,
Well done, yeah.
we're gonna allow you to do this.
Yeah, go on. You might as
Like,
well.
I don't understand why, like, they thought it would be a good idea to do that. Like, I know the knowledge on these kind of chemicals was way less then, but snorting or smoking a chemical is never going to end well. Like, it's just never going to do you any good.
I
How
mean-
is that ever going to do you
I
any
mean,
good?
think about it, we vape.
We vape, and it's the worst thing ever.
Like we smoke chemicals.
I hate it.
Honestly,
I'm always coughing. My voice now is broken because of it. Like, it's never going to do you any good smoking or vaping it or
no.
snorting even. I saw a TikTok of a woman whose entire septum had caved in and her nose was flat to her face
What,
because
she
she'd
got the whole
snorted
lot?
so much cocaine. Yeah.
No.
But she's literally killed the entire inside of her nose because she snorted so much cocaine. And it is so awful because I know these people can't help themselves.
And do you know
And
what's even
like, I can't.
worse? Powders normally go straight to your brain,
Yeah, no, they
so
get.
it's gonna lead to brain damage. Eventually.
Yeah, 100%. That's why some people like act a bit. You know, the people that have been doing it for years and years and years don't really
always a bit
remember
like-
norms. They're a bit
Yeah, they're
kooky,
weird.
a little bit off.
But like, no, I just would never been an issue if it just didn't let it happen.
No, if they had said, you know what, you're not bringing
If they
drugs.
if they went to the DEA and said these people are trying to bring drugs to our country, sort them out.
Yeah, if they went and
It
said,
would have been sweet as.
you're not bringing drugs into my country, you're not allowed. It would never happened.
No,
Nothing
never.
would have ever gone wrong.
I don't know why they done it.
Well, we're nearing the end of the episode.
Oh.
It's been a very long one, but it has been way worth it. So we
Oh,
spoke
yeah.
about 5 different theories. My favourite, your favourite, and a couple that we've been looking into. I think 9/11 and Diana were the longest ones.
Oh yeah.
Because there's
100%.
so many different theories about them too.
I can chat about most of them for days.
Yeah, there's so much to go over.
But I don't want to talk everyone's ear off, you know.
Honestly, if you've made it this far,
I feel bad for you.
I apologise. But also, thank you very much.
So-
Share and leave a like, obviously. And
Honestly.
comment if you think there's anything we can do better. Like, we're just trying our best. If you think there's anything we can do better, let us know.
appreciated.
But I think that's it for this episode. And it's definitely worth it for the amount of theories we covered, like the length of it. But
Honestly.
yeah, thanks for tuning in. Can't wait to see what we talk about next week.
Yeah.
And this has been Allegedly,
Possibly.
Maybe.
And we'll see you next time.
Stay alert and stay nosy.
Bye bye.